Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With over 2 decades of experience, a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and thousands of successfully completed projects in both entertainment and advertising. You're in the right place if you like hearing some good old filmmaking stories. On this podcast, we will discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from across the last 20 years and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the Archives.
Hello and welcome to Retrospec from the Archives, where we discuss projects from the past and talk about all of the different ways that we executed them, both creatively and through organization, and all the different things that we do at Retrospec Films. Today, I am joined by Jessica Hightower and my wife, Tayler Burks.
Hello.
And we are going to be discussing a really, really unique project that was special to all of us around here from the summer of 2023, just a few months back, for CareerTech, which is a state organization that focuses in on technology schools for both kids and adults. So this project, just to kind of set it up, we were contacted about maybe 8 weeks before this project was needed. It was for the big summit that CareerTech does. And immediately I got very excited. I actually am a kid that was part of the CareerTech system. So I was a part of BPA when I was in high school at Broken Arrow. I did not graduate with a college degree. I just took a bunch of random classes between tech school and community college to try to figure out how to start a business. So you can do all kinds of things.
Yes, you can.
So this project, the ask of this project was, they actually even called it the impossible ask. And what they said was, we have this, what do they call him, CareerTech Charlie? Is that what he was called that from the get-go?
Written different personas that covered different attributes or aspects of CareerTech. And there was a long laundry list. Yeah. But they wanted to cover all of them in I can't remember what their original duration was. Yeah,
I don't know either. But I remember, I guess really, why don't we start with step one? Because step one was creative. The creative was really, really involved. And Tayler, I think it really, I know that you and I ended up working together a little bit more towards the end of it, but I think you started with it real heavily. So why don't you talk a little bit about the writing process and the nuances of such an extensive checklist?
Okay, so they had written a couple personas based off of different individuals that would have gone through the CareerTech in the different stages of life in which CareerTech touches different people's lives. And they really wanted to show that CareerTech touches people's lives from the time people are born to the time people are retired, and how CareerTech impacts individuals in different ways. And their main goal, they had so many different things, but the main goal was to show that they are training up individuals that are going to fill the gap and the need in the Oklahoma workforce. And so my first thing was looking at all of the different things that they wanted to include in this piece, which was a lot because they have a ton of student organizations. There's a ton of different, I don't know what you would call it. It's not regions, but just different locations for CareerTech. Like there's Autry, there's Tulsa Tech, there's all these different things.
Campuses all across the state,
And all of them serve different programs, but they really wanted it to feel holistic. And so they said from the very beginning, this is the impossible story. And so my goal was to just figure out, okay, how do we weave together all of these different pieces through the lens of one person's story? So they had specific programs that they were wanting to highlight. Specific things like CDL, truck driving, nursing, welding. It was a lot of interweaving. I feel like the first goal for me was to really develop the characters and their storylines individually and then kind of figure out how to put it all into one piece. I don't know if that makes sense. An outline. I started with an outline. That was a very long answer to get to that point.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's worth noting is that obviously there's a lot of different creative that we could go down the road with. but we decided to go with what felt like a short film.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, I think their first initial ask was like, we want something from like 2 to 3 minute space. And we ended up convincing them to do more like a 5-minute piece. And it really did feel like a short film. You were watching Charlie grow up in this piece and seeing how CareerTech impacted him from every stage of life. So we saw him as a young child going on a field trip, seeing his dad in the welding program, to him being more of a teenager going through high school classes at college classes, but while he was still in high school with his friends, and then going on into his career where he had pursued aerospace mechanics and ended up growing in that. And then I think we even showed that not only did he do that, but he also went back to school for business and ended up opening his own mechanic school or aerospace mechanic company.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like an
Aerospace
aviation company.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. And then just that, and then into retirement where he accepted a Lifetime Achievement Award. And then there was a lot of other little nuanced things that we had to think through, like how do we show off the student organization? And something that I feel like I have been thinking about a lot recently since the short film was how do we show, not necessarily tell. So we brought those pieces in through photographs or through things that were on his bookshelf or really the props. In the different locations.
Yeah. So maybe before we get into some of the producing aspects that were complicated, why don't we go ahead and watch this piece? And it was, I think it turned out to be like somewhere in the 4 to 5 minute range. The first edit was like 7 minutes, and I was just determined that that was fine, but we kept shortening it. So check it out.
This is Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. It's John.
Well, good morning, John.
I apologize for calling you so early, but I knew this would make you smile. We got the $140 million contract.
And icing on the cake, HR was able to hire 27 new techs last week.
Oh, John, that is fantastic news. Anyone from CareerTech?
Actually, most of them are from CareerTech.
Oh, that's great, John. Hey, I really appreciate you calling. Dear future Charlie, Mom said life was full of challenges, full of opportunities.
Hey, Charlie. Your dad's gonna learn to build things out of metal.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Sometimes when one door closes, you just have to open another and run through it.
And you know, CareerTech offers a lot of really cool programs. Oh, and take a look at this. These are students who have been leaders in our state and CareerTech student organizations. Maybe one day you'll be on this wall too.
She also said life is full of learning new things. Really, really cool new things. And when you have the right tools, there are a lot of skills to learn.
Let's go, Charlie. Let's continue the tour.
When you work really, really hard.
Guess what?
What?
I got the welding job.
All right, Dad. The hard work pays off. Mom said, pay attention to every moment.
All right, let's do this.
Because every moment holds information. Information about what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
Okay, hold on. Remember what we learned in class? You're going to want to go parallel with the vein and then follow it through.
Okay, that's right.
A jet engine works by bringing in air, compressing it, adding fuel to that mixture, which creates a high-speed exhaust jet.
Whoa, that's so cool.
That's the best one you've done so far, man. You got a better one in you?
Yeah.
That's nice work, man.
I had a nice teacher.
But in the end, You will find what gives life purpose.
You are among those following in a long CareerTech legacy. And many of you have already accepted a job with one of our partner businesses in aviation. And at my company, we trust Oklahoma CareerTech to help us hire and train skilled future employees, just like you. In fact, 6,671 companies trust CareerTech to do just that. And 91% of CareerTech students are positively placed after graduation, beginning their careers, entering the military, or continuing their education. Hiring CareerTech grads gives our company an edge over the competition because you come out of this program with hands-on experience. You might not realize this yet, but you are part of a globally recognized workforce development system that is considered to be the best in the entire country.
Mom said we are all a part of a bigger story. A story that makes this whole world go round.
Hey, Chris, what do we got going on over here?
Hey, it took a few hours, but we got it working.
You've been doing a great job these past couple of years, and we need more people on our senior team.
I'm ready.
Let's get you some more training.
Appreciate it, sir.
Got
Thank
it.
you.
And if we all do the best we possibly can, I just never know whose life might
change for the better. Love, Charlie.
For more than 100 years, Oklahoma CareerTech has been training skilled and dedicated individuals, giving clear career paths to over 90,000 graduates a year. These individuals are the heartbeat of the Oklahoma workforce, serving thousands of companies, fueling the state's economy. Oklahoma is powered by CareerTech.
Okay, so let's talk about the producing. And Jessica, I know that obviously Brandon, I think, was producing this, but a huge aspect of it was the props and the casting.
Mm-hmm.
You were working on the casting. The casting was uniquely very complex.
Yes.
We're working for a board, and the board has to approve things, which means we have to provide options. But the nature of this story was that we needed 3, if not 4 ages of the same character. We don't know what gender, we don't know what ethnicity, et cetera, et cetera. So talk a little bit about that process in pre-pro.
So first, I think we used 2 casting agents, I think, for this whole thing, or maybe 3. We used 3 because I think I pulled from Oklahoma City as well. So we needed Charlie. So there was an 8-year-old Charlie, 16, 40, and then 70. And so it was really a challenge to find 4 people that looked like each other. So finding an 8-year-old that could look like the 16-year-old, that could look like the 40-year-old, and then look like the 70-year-old. And so my first time to do it was kind of making sure that they were male. And then I said, okay, well, we'll make sure that his ethnicity is white. So then I kind of set up 4 people in there, but there was one select of 4 people that kind of looked alike, and then another select of 4 people that looked alike, and then another select. And then after that, I think I did multiple ethnicities, and then I also did female Charlies. And then there was, I think, an Asian Charlie, so 8, 16, 40, 70. And I mean, I can't believe I pulled all of that from 3 casting agencies in Oklahoma, but I did, which was fun and challenging all at the same time. But also, too, not only just picking the Charlies, but picking the parents, too. Because the mom and the dad of Charlie and, the 8-year-old and the 16-year-old, they had to look like the child, but then the best friends. So there was a best friend, I think it was Tara. I can't remember what Josh. Yeah, Tara and Josh. So they had 8-year-old selves, and then there were 16-year-old selves that needed to look like each other. So that was a challenge also, but it was a lot of fun, picking people that looked alike. I mean, I must have spent 16 hours going through people's pictures, and I would print pictures out and set them by each other and look at their eyes, look at their nose, and then I would get the parents out and say, okay, you could look like the. I mean, there was a lot of pictures printed of people, so.
Yeah. So, and it's funny too, because the name Charlie like happens to work for either gender.
Right.
And so like when that got thrown in the mix, I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Like when they're like, well, we haven't decided if it's a girl or a guy. And I'm like, oh man, we have just too many options here. Well, so let's take it back. So we're working on that. We've thrown those options out there. Meanwhile, I feel like we're still finalizing the script.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were finalizing the
changes.
script down to the day that we shot it.
Yeah.
Yes. And even then some on set too.
Well, and I think something that, I mean, a lot of filmmakers find these things annoying, but it's probably why I think that Retrospec is successful in the ad space is I like making everyone happy with changes.
Yeah.
And so even though that, revisions kept coming back, and I remember like, cause it was right over 4th of July, cause I remember like we were up in Minnesota and I remember being like, I need to pull this thing open and make one more like, oh, yeah, because I went to that coffee shop up in Nisswa and just worked on it, you know? And so we were kind of like throwing the stuff back and forth.
I think I took the first stab of the entire script and then Jason took it from there and did the second. And then I think I did the third. Yep. And it was a lot of people. And then Brandon wanted to get access to the script and he started making production. I mean, like it was kind of I don't want to say chaotic because obviously it was organized as we could be. But it was funny how many moving parts we had to keep organized because if we made a change to the script, we had to let the producers know because it was being produced as script revisions were being made because the turnaround was so quickly. And that was, I feel like, a unique thing to this project or a unique problem that we had to kind of overcome.
Yeah. So finally the script gets pretty much finalized, which was great, theoretically, sort of, kind of, even though we kind of ebbed and flowed on set. And then it was time to start producing and shooting. Well, I guess we'd have been producing, but it was time to shoot. And I can't even remember the amount of locations. Off the top of my head, it feels like there was 3 to 5 a day. And did we shoot for 3 days? 4 days?
I believe it was
4 days.
Yeah.
4 days.
Yeah.
So pretty big shoot. We were able to do it all in Tulsa, which worked out.
Yeah, we used every Tulsa Tech campus for that.
We did. And how many, do you recall how many actors we ended up using?
Oh, goodness. I mean, just for a few scenes, we had tons of extras. So
like 20 plus people.
30 plus people. Yeah, because just with Tara, Josh, and their little 8-year-old selves, and then all the parents, and just there was a lot of people. And then in the EMT class, we had like 12 to 15 people. So there was a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I felt like this was a unique project because I really loved the fact that we combined, doing like interviews and B-roll is so common for us. Like we do it every single day almost. And so this was nice because we were pressing into acting and quality acting and trying to get an emotion and trying to tell a story that was real and authentic to this, fictional character that had been written. And how do you press that emotion still having a limited time frame? It's not like it's a feature film, but really for me, like just directing and shooting it, I looked at it very much like the artistic integrity was really, really, really important. And again, knowing like that CareerTech hired us to show this on a big screen in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I take every project serious, but I think for me, this one's a little bit personal just because, I did go through that system and I just thought, man, I want to knock everyone's socks off, And so, it was fun. Like when we shot the office scene with the older version, the 70-year-old version, that was a good, like, set the stage scene to shoot. And you've got this old guy reflecting upon his entire life. And I remember I kept thinking, I was like, I hope I feel that way. Like, I hope when I'm like 70 or 80, I can look back and be like, man, I tried my best to do the best things I could, So, what other things, I don't know, Tayler, like, is there anything that like stood out to you when we were shooting? I can't even remember. I think you came to a lot of the locations.
Yeah, I think I was.
We didn't really have too many like on-set rewrites, but...
No, I think I just was trying to pay attention to all the little things that the client really wanted in the piece that weren't necessarily in the script, like the pictures on the walls or different student organizations that they wanted to highlight. Like, how can we bring that into different spaces? So I was like running around, like finding awards and handing them to Jessica and be like, somehow get this in the next shot. But I feel like I just really, like, I don't know. I feel like I really tried to understand what the client wanted. And since there were so many different aspects, like we said, of CareerTech, I really wanted to make sure that we were somehow getting it in, even if it was just like a very small piece. But you helped write the script. And I think that's I'm sure is super helpful, writing a script and then directing it, because you knew a lot of those nuances.
Yeah, it does make a big difference. I mean, that was part of why I even, whether you wanted my help or not, I wanted to involve myself, because I knew that I needed to like get on set and direct it, and I needed to do it right. Yeah. And, you know, we had just come off shooting our film, and that was a struggle for me, because it was like, you wrote the whole thing.
What's that
mean? And so it was a challenge, like getting my brain into the story.
Yeah.
So this was kind of one of those things where I was like, I got to make sure I stay very close to this script, because I need to know it. Like, I need to have the whole thing memorized by the time I'm directing. So like the motivation, the emotions, everything is just like second nature. So.
Which you did.
Well, okay, so coming to edit, we finish it off.
Yeah.
Who edited this one?
Adam.
Adam did. Yeah. The secret weapon, Adam.
Yes.
It's
always
not
the secret of it.
I know. It's not such a secret, since I'm always being like, Adam. I felt like the edit turned out really, really good.
It did.
It was long, but I loved it. We had to shorten it, but that's okay. And fast forward to the future, the day that it was supposed to play, I wanted to go, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And then then my phone started going off. I started getting emails. Like, everyone was like, this was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just person after person, separate people on the board from CareerTech. You know, people said it was the best video that they'd ever shown. Like, all these different things. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Which is really cool too, because something else I want to add is like, there was probably 20 some people that we were getting approval from on this script. And all of them had such different personalities. Like some of them really were like, super heartfelt, like loved the heartstrings being pulled, and others were like, this is too soft for me. And so the fact that every single person, like all of them collectively at the end of the process were like, this is the best film, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about working for a board, you know? I mean, I'm on a board, and I know like you get 10, 12, 15 people together and they all have to like something, like that's hard.
It is hard.
But it was fun. I liked it. I love challenges. So for me, I thought that was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we stepped up to the plate and said, yes, we can tweak all the little things to make this thing perfect so that every person on this board unanimously loves it.
And I feel like the cool part about the board too is they all had a very clear vision. They were like, at the end of the day, whatever our comments say, we need you guys to be the expert and ask the question, like, is this portraying the vision that we want, the mission of what we want this video to be?
Yeah.
Which is cool, because they were very like able to do that. They were like, okay, like step back with the comments, which was cool. So
yeah, it's great.
We really enjoyed working with them.
Yes.
If you're watching this, we loved working with you.
Right. Well, that is it for today's episode about CareerTech Charlie. Hopefully you enjoyed some of this behind the scenes information. If you enjoyed today's podcast, feel free to check out other ones. We've got dozens of them on our podcast. It's in all the places you can find podcasts, Spotify, Apple, on our website, all that jazz. So hopefully we'll see you on a future episode, and you can always go to our website as well, retrospecfilms.com, to find out more about what we do here. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.